$600 million. That's how much Palworld and Stumble Guys have made, and they're pretty much ripoffs of Pokemon and Fall Guys, and they're not alone. These billion-dollar ripoffs are taking over the gaming industry with games like Inzoi, Goose Goose Duck, Light of Moziram, and more. So how do these games do this? Is it just luck? Or is there something more? Are they really even ripoffs or just inspired? Because Palworld isn't just a copy of Pokemon, right? I mean, there are guns. Well, it's complicated, and we'll get to that. Ripoffs aren't new to gaming, with Casey Munchkin from 1981 being a direct ripoff of Pac-Man. There was also Crazy Kong, the Great Xena Sisters, and more. But later on, as games got more advanced, we started to see a whole lot more successful ripoffs, like Mortal Kombat, Dr. Mario, Fortnite, Wait, don't dislike the video just yet. I know these games are their own successful franchises now, but they did kind of start off as ripoffs of these originals. But now, of course, they're their own entity. They have different visuals, features, and they're not ripoffs. But then what about Palworld, Stumble Guys, and more? These single games aren't franchises. They sometimes copy the originals level for level, feature for feature, and design for design. So aren't they ripoffs? Well, kind of. But players like these copies more than the originals, and they're insanely popular. Why is that? Well, it comes down to three main reasons, starting with players have always wanted to play Pokemon on their PCs, PlayStations, and Xboxes, but you couldn't do that unless you sailed the high seas or settled for whatever this is. That's where Palworld came in. Being able to play Pokemon on other platforms with online crossplay was simply amazing. Palworld being accessible where its counterpart would never be is a huge reason the game has over 32 million players. The same thing also helped Stumble Guys pass 270 million downloads, with it being available on mobile, which is the largest gamer base, and Fall Guys just wasn't there. That's also how Creative Destruction marketed itself, as Fortnite on mobile, though it didn't do that well. Another thing that helps these copies be more popular compared to the originals is that they're free, like how Stumble Guys is, or like how the thousands of Minecraft ripoffs out there are, Pokecraft especially. These ripoffs basically find a gap in the market and fill it, but that's worth nothing if they're not as good or better than the original. What they need is there are a lot of reasons people loved Fall Guys, but also a lot of reasons they didn't, like the super long matchmaking, server issues, and a lack of updates. This is exactly where Stumble Guys improved upon the formula, with more maps, better servers, quicker updates, better collabs, and more. Of course, Stumble Guys is jankier, with the visuals, gameplay, and overall quality being a bit worse. But this just shows that a better execution of the core gameplay is much more important than being all around polished. For Palworld, it's different, because for the most part, they took the Pokemon formula and completely revolutionized it, giving players what they've been asking for years, like an open world, proper traversal, way more mechanics, much better graphics and performance, and the best of all, guns and kidnapping. Pokemon has made a lot of improvements, but it still doesn't hold up even with games in its own system. A lot of it comes down to the franchise refusing to change, forcing this tree to look just like the machine it's been rendered on. Even though Game Freak are doing open world encounters with the Legends series, Palworld offered guns and RPG and survival mechanics, which Nintendo never would, which makes Palworld the better game in players' eyes. The originals usually mess up somewhere, and these games capitalize on that. Among Us didn't have proximity chat for the longest while, and barely added any new roles, but Goose Goose Duck did, which made it ultra popular. The Sims already had a consistent franchise, but Inzoi completely shook up the formula with ultra realism. It's the same for a lot of other ripoffs as well. Usually they're just better where it matters. Another thing that matters is money, which I also need. So feel free to subscribe if you like the video so far, and when I reach 900 subscribers, I'll sell my car. As I said, Palworld and Stumble Guys have made a ton of money, and they've used this money well. Palworld's been consistently updating the game with new features, regions, and more. Pokemon is literally one of the most profitable franchises, but they've yet to use that money to really change up stuff. But maybe they're just limited by the hardware. But the star of the show when it comes to monetization is Stumble Guys. Fall Guys started off as a normal game with no monetization, and that's because it was a paid game. But Stumble Guys was free to play from the beginning, and they really capitalized on their huge player base with pretty aggressive monetization, making them a ton of money. But in order to even have a player base, these games usually have a moment of virality, and there's no better example than Goose Goose Duck, which became very popular due to BTS streaming it. It was free to play even on PC, while Among Us wasn't. It's usually some viral moment like this that causes these bootlegs to be in the limelight, either through streamers playing it, marketing, or being such an unhinged idea that it has to be popular. But marketing's crucial to sustain it, and Stumble Guys knew that well. They have just so many collabs with different IPs like Hot Wheels, the NFL, Barbie, and They did so many ads as well, even once with the guy from Fortnite, which is insane. Till now, I've just been talking about console and PC game copies, while completely avoiding the largest collection of pure ripoffs, and that's the Play Store. Mobile games are so bad right now, and one reason is that it's like 60% ripoffs. Most of these are just copies of those ads you get, while the others are just copies of popular console games. Just search GTA 5 and you'll see a ton of ripoffs, and even ripoffs of games that haven't even come out yet. What do they know about GTA 6 that we don't? That isn't to say that there aren't good mobile games though, but the truth is, some of these ripoffs are relatively good, which begs the question, is it even really a ripoff? Calling something a bootleg, ripoff or copycat makes it seem bad, but I would argue even though Palworld copies the ideas of Pokemon, it isn't just a soulless ripoff. It's more inspired and it's better than the original. But at the same time, Light of Motiram seems like Horizon Zero Dawn from AliExpress. It depends on whether the inspired game is different enough from the original. And above all, these originals aren't the first of their kind. They're just the faces of their genre. And we just associate new popular games in this genre with these well-known originals and call it a ripoff. And usually these quote-unquote bootlegs revolutionize genres that are getting stale, like Palworld did with the Pokemon formula. Palworld isn't the best example because there's some controversy about how a lot of the Pal designs were just copy-pasted from Pokemon. But overall, I feel like the whole game's different enough to not be a ripoff, just like how Stumble Guys is and how Goose Goose Duck or Inzoi is. I feel like we're gonna see more of these kinds of games as time goes on, considering how insanely popular they are. Whatever happens, just remember to water your microwave and everything will be fine. Thanks for watching.